Welcome back. I'm Loretta, and thank you for tuning in to our special edition of Peace in a Pod called Thoughtful Thursday with my dear friend Ryer. So today I was thinking about some of life stressors, just kind of thinking about throughout the year how some of the things that have been a little overwhelming, causing unnecessary stress, and some of the ways of dealing with those stressors. And I personally like to do a lot of meditating. I like to take some walks out, in nature. One of my big time favorites is exercising. And I'm just curious if there's like any approaches you take as far as how and what self care techniques do you use to help alleviate some of the stressors in life?
I think first, I always try to identify what those stressors are to make sure I meet the need for those things. You know, maybe this is off topic, maybe this is stays on topic, but oftentimes when we deal with stress, we grab hold to something quick, something fast, something fulfilling, and not necessarily take whatever steps is needed in order for us to really have that appropriate self care. Something I've been doing recently is journaling. Um, I'm not always a person where like I talk to somebody about something all the time. And journaling has allowed me to put my feelings on paper to identify what really is the root cause of something.
Mhm.
And, kind of reading over what I wrote or feeling it as I'm writing it, I realize that things that I could be doing more for my self care is actually taking the time out for myself. And I know obviously self care, but
I think a lot of people aren't actually familiar what is self-care. Like what can you use to actually care for yourself? What are some um I mean, you did mention journaling.
mhm,
I mentioned meditating, exercising, positive thoughts, words of affirmation, eating healthier.
yeah,
I mean, you have self-care is an internal and an external.
you have to know what you need to feel the need.
Exactly.
You know,
Getting enough sleep.
yes, that's one of the things.
Body needs rest in order for it to keep going.
Yes, got to be able to, to keep thriving. I realize going through or just kind of coming up on things in my life that took me away from what my daily routines used to be. I think that once we start to get out of the, oh, I don't do self-care or I'm not available enough to do the self-care, we start to feed those dysfunctions even more.
Mhm. When
Well,
you neglect yourself, there's other parts of your life that are getting neglected as well. And your energy kind of shifts when you stop putting as much attention on yourself.
yeah.
You start feeling a little more down and just not feeling as energetic and motivated about things like you used to.
It's like almost like a breeding ground of, like, if you sow the seed of being frustrated all the time, like this where it comes from.
Mhm.
Like, why do you think a harvest is supposed to produce anything else if you sowed frustration? So you have to identify those things in order to create healthier habits for yourself. Another one of the things that I try to do often is actually change my environment, change my space,
Mhm.
expose myself to something that I either want in my life or just like a different scenery, a different pace. And I think that that kind of balances me out some. And it also pushes me too, because then once I'm exposed to something new, it makes me want to change my habits in order to obtain this new thing.
Okay, okay. That makes sense. I also think picking up things that express your creativity kind of like help you explore your creativity a little more, like, hobbies as far as gardening, like arts and crafts, painting, singing, dancing, just kind of anything that will like help move the body to get that
Hmm.
energy out of you
Hmm.
and kind of make you feel a little more fluid.
Yeah, help you expand your mind, because oftentimes when we're talking about self-care, something has sparked the need to have some type of self-care.
Mhm.
And once we think all these things, we have this anxiety about all these things. once we expand our mind, we make more room for other things to come in to be our thoughts and not allow those things that we're currently dealing with to consume us.
Right. Yeah, I think creating that habit of just taking care of ourselves on a regular basis is key. We don't want to fall into trying to find a solution when things are getting hard. We should just already have that mindset and that habit of just maintaining, our internal, external bodies,
Yeah.
to keep that self care as part of life.
Yeah. You keep that drive to keep making strides forward. Like I said, the reason why we do self care is because something sparked it. And not to say that we can't do self care just because it could be spontaneous, but we only allow ourselves, oh, I can give myself, I can buy this thing or I can go this place because of, I don't
It's
know.
almost like we're treating ourselves instead of just doing it
Yeah.
because, like, this is something that we should incorporate into our life on a regular,
Yeah.
instead of oh, it's my birthday, I'm gonna take a vacation.
Yeah.
Or no, or like going to the spa, getting a massage.
You
It doesn't
can't
have to be a
be
girls' night to do that.
you can't be too routine about your life because then you start to get comfortable. And then when you start to come up on things that's hard in your life, you still continue to operate out of this is what I'm comfortable in. This is so I have to navigate it with whoever I am, this person that's trying to be comfortable rather than the one who has really taken the time out for myself to do some inner work so it can reflect outwardly.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good that you mentioned the inner work, because that makes me think about the whole releasing, with the whole meditating, just kind of moving the body or relaxing the body to a state where you can release all of that energy, and clearing your mind, keeping your mind active in a sense where your attention is on something more positive than the negative things that are transpiring in your life. That inner work can bring out insight, inspiration, and personal growth.
What you water really grows. It becomes a real thing. I'm sitting here, guys, and I'm trying to channel this energy to be able to give a great podcast. And I'm looking over at a plant that she has in her home. And it's making me think like if we were to all buy a plant and we were all to have to tend and take care of these things and to watch it grow and to trim when things aren't, when it's making the plant so it can't grow. Like, I think that if we were to have something physical that we actually took care of and looked at it as in reference of our lives, that in order for something to grow, it requires maintenance. It requires us to have to prune off things that are not necessary for us in our life. Like I said earlier, we oftentimes feed our dysfunction when we don't allow other things to come in to expand our mind, when we stay too comfortable in our daily activities and not switching things up. So just this plant has like kind of sparked the thought. We need to take a look at what we care for on the outer side of things and how much time and attention we give to those things, and look inwardly and see that we need to do the exact same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
A couple of weeks ago, I found myself taking off 2 consecutive days out of the week. It was just random. I didn't have anything planned. I didn't intend to do anything, but I also felt like I needed to take my mind out of that rhythm of from this time to this time, this is the time that you work, or from this time to this time, you usually deal with anxiety because of work. And I took those 2 days off to really self reflect, to give myself a self care day, to give myself a break. It was something that was really needed. I was able to think about all the things that I could do because usually between this time and this time, I could only think about work. Like it consumes my mind a lot of the time. So
when you were talking about the plant thing, I mean, as you know, I have a cat, and when I had finished my military training, I was feeling extremely anxious about going back to my civilian job. And I was feeling anxious because I was having these expectations of how my supervisor was going to be toward me, because she was always that way prior to me taking some weeks off for the military training. So I was just kind of expecting that same reaction and her approach to be exactly the same. And that gives me anxiety because I don't like to be at work and have, like, as soon as I see her little Teams thing pop up
Yeah.
or an email pop up that's like, oh, here she goes again. So throughout my day, my cat started, I guess, picking up on some of my tension. And he has created this habit for himself, which is beneficial to me too. But
Mhm.
he has created this habit to where I brush him at least twice a day. And it is soothing because when I look at his little face, it just kind of puts my mind into like a happier spot. And of course, he's enjoying it because he's
Mhm.
getting brushed, but it's just like a very soothing thing. I mean, sometimes it's annoying when he's like constantly, asking for attention. But the moment I start brushing him, I'm just like in this completely different state. And it's just so soothing. And I see his little face and he's just like looking at me, looking all cute. And it's just a very relaxing feeling.
Mhm.
And I do thank him for being a part of my life and like helping me get through some of the tension that life brings on me.
Yeah, unknowingly.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think that a pet is a good idea. If anybody was thinking about getting a pet, give you something to care for other than yourself, and what they add to you too. Like, just that you dealing with work, and I'm pretty sure that he recognizes that there's some level of stress. So
Yeah.
he gives you, some attention, to kind of take your mind off of that. Oh, you said something like being at work, and like if you were to see, like something on the teams pop up, it gives you
Mhm.
anxiety. Jesus. I have dealt with that. I have dealt with that so much. The sound of the
Oh,
team's
yeah.
messages, like it haunts me. It taunts me. Like almost every single day. And I think that was one of the things that struck me to say, hey, I need to take off within this week to just give myself a clear headspace.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that you could literally, when you think about or trauma, you get what I'm saying? You think
Mhm.
about it being like a very huge event that like really has impacted you. But every single day when I hear the teams, like that's like trauma that I'm trying to heal from every single day. Like, oh, I gotta find me some healing at the end of the day.
I told you how I forgot to quit the teams one day when I left to go to a doctor's appointment, and when I got home, it was still going off. I was like, "Oh
Oh
no!"
yes. Like just
I
cause
know,
like
no,
a
no, no.
a level of anxiety that you feel like you can't run from.
Yeah, yeah.
So if anybody is listening to this podcast and they're dealing with work, family, home, friends, or whatever the case may be, you could give to all these aspects of your life, but always remember to give to yourself. Make yourself a priority. Never be afraid to say that I can't do this right now because I'm in this space.
Mhm.
Because once we identify what our triggers are or what the issue is in our life that we need to change up, we'll take that corrective action, or hopefully we'll take that corrective action. But oftentimes we can't do that if we're distracted being or serving in different areas of our life. We usually miss it or we'll mask it.
Please take care of yourselves, whether it be prayer, meditation, journaling, even if you have to reach out for help to family, friends, or professional help. Always make yourself a priority and take care of you.
Remember that you can't pour from a half empty glass. If you have it, the overflow is for the people. If you don't have it, what's in that cup is for you. So always take care of yourself, always be in consideration of yourself, and always do self care.
Thank you again for tuning in to Peace in the Pod special edition called Thoughtful Thursday with my co-host Ryer. I'm Loretta, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you. Bye. Thanks again for tuning in to Peace in the Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, or subscribe. And also, if you know someone else that would enjoy it, please share it with them. Thanks for tuning in. Bye bye.